So we've just put down the self-leveler. It's still drying. Tell us where we landed with it.
It should be dry. It just looks a little weird because I sanded some parts of it. This floor was incredibly uneven. It was just subfloor, and wherever the joists were and the plywood, they just kind of went like that. So in some spots.
Mainly here, right?
Well, mainly here.
Oh, okay.
This subfloor here is really, really wobbly. I'm not sure if you could see it, and I'll take another shot. This is anything from flat. So right here and right there in the distance is where it's flat. In between, it's like this bathtub. It's as if the kitchen island has weighed down this entire floor. It's like a trampoline. So right here in the middle, you can see I put all these screws in. These screws are this is the same height here as the floor over there in the distance. So that means we're gonna have to self-level this whole floor to get it all level. And that was one of the other problems with the previous floors, that you would walk on this and it would just be there's a lot of undulations in the floor. So you can see they tried leveling a little bit over here already with the previous install, but still there's like 1/4 to 1/2 inch of difference between here and there. So we're hoping to get that out of the way. So I drove all those screws so I know where it's level. And we have, this is our new floor tile, which is more like a dark gray. And that's just gonna sit right up against this. And we got this as a transition. So we have these little aluminum strips here. I'm gonna cut this very straight, and then we'll put this strip against it like this. And then the new tiles will fit right in there. And then what you'll get is, it will look like a nice inlay in the floor, like a metal inlay. You have a lot of those flooring strips that kind of create this bulge to cover this part and cover that part, but it doesn't look so sharp. And we found this at the hardware store, and we really like the idea of using this. Our floor here is glued down, so that's not going anywhere. So I'm just gonna glue this strip up against it, and then we can pour our self-leveler concrete to be at the same height as this little lip here. And then this is a floor that you don't really glue down. It needs to kind of expand and contract. So we're putting this inside this little groove here. You can see here on the side with another piece of flooring, this actually fits in there like this. So that way there's a little edge right here, but at least it has room to expand and contract. So that's what I need to do today. I need to cut this shape really nicely with the track saw, and then glue this piece in here so that we can pour our self-leveling against it, and then we can start laying our floor. The whole idea of this floor was, it's as if it's a trampoline and the kitchen island was on it, and it just kind of sagged in the middle. I'm not sure if the kitchen island's responsible for it or if that's just what happens anyways over time, because they did install this kitchen on blocks to raise it up, but in some spots it was 1/2 inch of height difference. So we poured self-leveler. And now
we did a good job, didn't we?
Yeah,
we killed it.
You did a really good job mixing it, because it's really time consuming. This stuff sets up in 10 minutes. So you don't have much time to work with it. And when you pour it, you kind of have to push it into place. And then we use the spike roller to break the surface tension, so it would self-level even more.
And you had these spiky shoes that made you sound
and
like
I had
you're
spiky shoes.
click-clacking High heels.
Yes, so high heels, but then distributed all over your foot.
Yeah, how about
Now
that?
you can actually see how high the self-lever was in some places. See that?
Oh yeah, it's very S&M, huh?
If you're into that, here you go. You can borrow those. The floor here, the door opening was the worst actually because it was like sloping left. So this was too high, this was too low. So now, and then from there to here was also like a dip. And I think what happens is like the plywood sits on those joists and some joists are higher than the others and over time they kind of shift and bend. So they create these undulations. But now it's mostly flat and I think it's flat enough. Like this surface is not perfect. But if I sand it a little bit and then put the tiles over it, which are right here.
Yeah, so we were looking into getting real slate, but we really couldn't do real slate for a couple reasons. It's too heavy and it's too thick and we needed something really thin.
Yeah, in order to match the floor over there, which is glued down, and the floor here, which is also glued down, it's better to have something really thin and durable because, you know, this is gonna see a lot of wear because this is the area where the mudroom is. So you're coming in with dirty boots all day. You know, you don't really want to take your shoes off when you go through the kitchen and through the other door. So this will be nice. It provides a path through the house where you could just wear your boots.
Yeah, so this
you don't
is
have to
like
take them off every time.
We found this Pergo Extreme flooring that looks like slate. I'm actually shocked that there aren't more LVT products that look more
like stone or
like
slate,
in a wide variety of stone, and sometimes they put this like weird texture on it.
Yeah, the only issue is this is like, I like the prints that they put on it, but they try to put some texture on it and it looks like they literally took one of those jute bags and just kind of stenciled it to make it look like...
Yeah, like a jute bag or like the...
Like it doesn't look realistic at all,
like
dude.
a skin of a pachyderm.
And it kind of looks like a skin of an elephant.
The other thing too is that these are relatively seamless when you click them together, but you know how we did the stonework in the bathroom in the Meadow House where we have like French style, lines, where it has different shapes and sizes?
Oh yeah, another thing they should do is they should make different sizes of these because then you can create all kinds of cool patterns. Right now it's just 2x1 and that's it. So we're actually putting them, you know, you could do a brick pattern here where you have it half offset. But I think what we're discussing the other day is that we'll offset them by 9.5 inches, which is about, or 9.25, which is about the golden ratio of the tile. And it's also kind of close to 1/3. And that actually creates a nice like step ladder pattern. Mm-hmm. And we could just have, because it's not like flooring planks. Careful behind you, there's a level.
Yeah, I know, I see it.
It's not like flooring planks where you have a lot of rows. These are quite wide, so, you know, it's gonna look fine. And the seams are quite invisible, so you don't really notice the pattern. It will look like a continuous floor.
The reason why we wanted to do this is, it's hard to recall what it looked like, but this is cherry wood, and we have cherry flooring.
Oh, let's bring one of the
And they
tiles.
basically had old tiles that were luckily not glued down because that would have been harder to get out, that were also cherry looking, and it just was really monotone, and we felt like we needed to break up the color a little bit because it was almost like too much.
Yeah, so this is what was here.
Yeah, so you can see it looks
So, you know,
just like the wood.
It's wood on wood, more wood, wood on the ceiling, wooden table. It's like the same color everywhere.
Yeah.
So in order to bring in some contrast, we went with gray. And here is where our existing floor is, which is glued down. Engineered flooring, it's maple.
No,
it's really beautiful.
Cherry. They don't.
Oh, it's cherry. You're right.
They don't make it anymore, so it's hard
And this
to
was
find this.
we found an old box, and it's like a special edition that they did. I bet they just had a whole bunch of cherry, and they decided to do some flooring. We picked up this little aluminum edge, and I glued it in here.
It's a little dusty right now.
It's a little dusty. It has to be cleaned up, but. You know, and it will get little scratches. This actually had some scratches from the factory. I just might have to come in here with a little paint and like repair some sections.
I think we wash it first and then we see where it's scratched.
Yeah, of course, but check. So this little edge, the flooring, first I thought I might want to put the flooring underneath the edge, but I think it's actually nicer to have it flush with it. So now we have like a flush.
And this is why, again, that we couldn't go with a thick stone because it would have been
Yeah, it would
over
have
the
never
top.
worked.
Yeah.
And what's really tricky about this whole edge from here to there is that there's about 1/4 to 1/2 inch lower here than on the edges here. So we poured self-leveler in the middle here, but then you can see here, this is a different color. Well, maybe not anymore. But from here to here is like a
Yeah,
different
you can see
product.
the different color, yeah.
It's feather finish, it's called, and then you have to trowel it more and screed it more. So this had a slope up towards the door. And what I did is I treated this as a high point, and this edge here is a high point, and between these 2 points it's level. So I can kind of screed it into place.
And by the way, there's not much space under this door to open it, which is again why
Yeah.
we can't go with a thick stone.
That's another thing. It's like there's not a lot of space here, but yeah, now it's good. And I kept a little slope on this edge here so that if there's ever water from just our boots inside, that it will kind of just not sit underneath.
Like
this
think
thing.
about it, even if you want to put like a doormat there, every little millimeter.
Yeah, it's not gonna fit.
Yeah.
See, I can get my fingers under there and
Yeah.
that's without the flooring. So, and you can raise these doors up by the hinges, but they're already quite high up. Yeah, that's fixed. We can't figure it out. We can't futz with that anymore. But yeah, this is what it will look like with the little edge. You could obviously do one of those T molding strips that sits over it like that, like a little dome to cover both sides. But I think this looks a lot more modern and sharp.
It looks
we don't
sharper, and then
notice.
you don't have to, you could slide your feet right over it.
Yeah, you won't notice it's there, which is nice. Because the other one you definitely notice. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna start here in this corner, because this is the longest run I have. And I'm probably gonna center 3 tiles in the doorway here. So the 3 complete tiles are centered here. And then once I got this in place, I can work that direction and this direction.
And if you recall, the refrigerator was here, which we're getting a new unit, and then the door
Yeah.
was different.
Yeah, the door used to be right here. So it was this weird boomerang shape you had to make. You had to go all the way to this side of the house, look at a cabinet, and then all the way here. And the other door was right here. Whoa. The other
You
door
told
was.
me to watch
I
out.
know.
You're the one who slips over it.
The other door was right here
To get into the bedroom.
to go into the bedroom,
Yeah.
and these now over there. So now it's this placement is so much better because you're just like right in the middle of the kitchen instead of like having to make this detour.
Yeah, the user experience, the
Yeah.
user flow is much better.
So that's nice. And the only reason why they couldn't really do that is because there's a beam here. If you come to this side,
Yep.
there's a beam here that supports the roof. So you can't really go further to the left than that. Same for like outlets and stuff. Like you can't really put anything here.
But you had to do some engineering
And-
with the plumbing.
If you could look up there, the vent pipe came straight down this wall. So it would go straight through the window, straight to the door. So in order to make it still work, I couldn't go to the right because it can't go uphill. It needs to slope downhill. So I made it go all the way to the left first, then down, then all the way to the right, and then come down to the ground. And this door doesn't need a header because this is all non-structural walls between these giant beams. So you can do whatever you want in here. That's why I think we decided to pop some more windows in here to just really connect these 2 spaces together. Because this used to have a door as well, and now we're just making it an opening and we're connecting the floor. So
It feels more capacious. So you could just walk in and the flow is really nice. But I mean, right now we have a ton of junk in here.
Yeah, and the main reason
help.
we had to do this really was to get ready for our fridge and our stove. The stove needs to sit on like finished flooring because it has little legs and you can actually see under it.
And
a
we
little bit.
had to cut out.
Yeah, that was a crazy project.
And oh, by the way, we got a new sink.
Oh yeah,
Check it out.
So, I mean, it's a little dusty right now.
Yeah, because we use it for concrete.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a sink and a new tap, and we got reverse osmosis water.
Amazing, because we used to just buy distilled, so.
Yeah, you used to get all these bottles of water, but now you don't have to anymore. But this sink, if you remember, it was very small. It was maybe like 16 by 14 or 12 even. Then when we found this, which is overmount, so
And
what I
it's a
could
granite
do.
sink. It's like they like reconstituted the granite.
Yeah, it's like a composite or whatever. I'm sure they mix it together with concrete or something weird. But what we liked about it is that I could just cut the hole bigger in the granite with the saw.
But it took us a whole day to do that.
Oh, well, together with the others, yeah. You
Yeah.
just gotta be really slow and careful.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it turned out real nice because I thought it would be much rougher than this. Like this is the finished cut. Look how straight that is.
Yeah. And that looks
And
a little
the-
dusty, but if we washed
Well,
it, it would
you
be
see,
look polished.
you could buy a whole bunch of polishing tools and you could polish the granite, but I didn't want to go that far. The stove is going to sit right here, so it's going to cover that, but it is important to have a nice crisp line here. So we put a guide bar down so that the saw could actually ride against the guide bar, and that created a perfect cut. You don't even see, sometimes you see like these arches in it from the saw blade, like shifting left and right a little bit. So yeah, we had to cut this opening bigger. We cut this, and then we just dropped in the new sink. And my God, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
It looks so much better than what we had before. And it allows a cutting board to sit in here.
Yeah, it actually comes with a little.
And I found a piece of cherry in the wood shop that is 17, which this is.
Oh, great.
So yeah, we're gonna probably just use that. It's a little thicker than the standard cutting board that came with it, but it's got these tracks in here, which you can have something.
And you could buy other things,
Yeah,
you know, like a
17.
basket or whatever that you could fit in there. But it's really nice. And this is pulls out like that, and it's done by Kraus, which we thought they were very elegant and very modern, because the space, even though it has a lot of wood in it and kind of feels like a ski lodge, there's something very modern about it too, even though it's 30 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, some people will laugh because they're probably in Victorian
30
houses.
years old.
Yeah, 30 years. But you know,
That's
the styles change, you know, in 30 years
Yeah,
very
it
easily.
was-
Just look at people's bell bottoms and hairdos. So
Yeah, I think people were just happy to have a sink back in the day. I don't know. It's like, but having a nicer sink is just, having a bigger sink is just better because you can drop like giant pots in it when you're cooking. Another thing we had to do is increase the opening size on this, which was a bit of a head
oh
scratcher.
yeah, this one too.
Yeah, so this had to go up and this had to become wider, like 1.5 inches. And it's super annoying. This had to get 2 inches higher and this 1.5 inches wider. So what I did eventually is I took this all apart as much as I could, and then I just, you could see I just took this middle section out and I raised it by 2 inches, as you can see here. This is slightly discolored, which you won't see because the fridge will go in here. Then I shoved another piece of plywood that I found from this between the side and the cabinet. So there's an extra piece of plywood.
3 here, 2 here.
Yeah, and there's 2 here. So there was already actually a piece of plywood against one of the sides. So yeah, this one, oh yeah, here you can see it. This one's new. You see, it's just a little strip. So here's what I did. Here you can actually see it. This is a bit destroyed, but I have to fix that. I took this apart and I shoved an extra piece in there. And that's how,
Oh, I see you shimmed it too.
well, no, this used to sit in here, and this is
Okay.
extra in the middle. You can see the color difference slightly. So by adding a three quarters here and 3/4 there, it's 1.5 inches wider, and it still looks normal.
And it's because our fridge is larger.
Yeah, and the doors will actually cover one of these. So now we're back to like how it originally looked somewhat. And the doors are now too tall, but our cabinet doors here are actually solid cherry.
By the way, these are great cabinets. Whoever made these, they're just so
Yeah,
nice.
it's really beautiful. And the doors are all solid like cherry, and it's just amazing. And cherry actually darkens.
So funny. You see all my apothecary stuff, but that's
Well,
going to go down in the apothecary when it's done.
So
We'll have so much more space.
I think I spoke with a cabinet maker down the street, and he says this is veneer. Most of this is veneer MDF, because then the veneer lays down really nicely on the MDF because it's really flat. It's not great for underneath the sink because some leaks will make it like bubble and expand. But the doors are all solid cherry, which is it's just beautiful. And
It's
the
beautiful.
coloring, like this has been sitting here for 30 years. It's been like here on the side, you
Yeah,
can see it a
actually, this
little
one-
bit. It gets bleached out a
Now,
little bit.
this is because this is facing south and it gets really bleached on this side, but typically
Yeah.
cherry will darken in time. Now, this
There's a
one
piece of trim here. You see
had a
this?
calendar on it, so that's why it looks darker in the middle.
Yeah, so you see here the piece of trim was covering this, and that's what it originally looked like. But it does darken over time with some light. And I don't know, the color on this, I don't think you can easily get. Because he showed me a kitchen he made, and it looked much more desaturated, because I think over time it just gets more color in it. I don't know, maybe it was a different type of cherry back then, but yeah, that's the progress in the kitchen. And yeah, once we get the flooring in, we can install the appliances, which we've been waiting to do for a long time now.
Over a year.
Over a year, so that'd be
That's
good to
how
get
slow
in.
we are.
And then this kitchen is somewhat functional again, whereas right now it's just a mess, and it's it's not fun to be in here.
Yeah, little by little, we're getting
But,
there.
we had to install a lot of plumbing, like I got my ice maker line here. So I found these little,
And that's part of the RO system too, right?
yeah, so this is RO water that comes through here. So we also have RO water going to the future green wall.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that. It's almost too much to get into, but this wall right here is going to have a full-length green wall, and we're going to do an RO system with that, which is so cool. But that's to be continued.
Yeah.
Awesome job,
So-
Sander. We'll be doing the floor today, but it's nice out, so we're probably going to be doing some work outside first. But just wanted to give you the updates here from the kitchen at Flock. See y'all later.